we're going to start frying up our pork chops while my pie crust are still in the oven, and then when I take them out, I'm gonna have to make sure that they cool completely before I can actually fill them. So I'm gonna go ahead, and what we're going to do is I just fry my pork chops. These are boneless, boneless pork chops. And I fry them until they're nice and brown on both sides, and then I put them in a 9x13 glass pan. So let's get to frying my pork chops up. Get these open. I've got my pan on medium heat. I did put, actually these do have a bone in them. I didn't buy them. My son did for Father's Day, so they have a little bit of bone in them. Not much though. These are nice size pork chops. I just want to fry these until they get nice and brown on both sides. And I'm doing about 10 of them. See how this one has already started getting a little bit of color on it? That's what you want. You don't need to fully cook these pork chops. See, that one has a little bit of color on it. You want that on both sides. And then you want to place it in your glass pan. So you're going to finish them off in the oven. This is my mom's, my timer's going off for my pie shells. But this is my mother's recipe. She made this a lot for me when I was growing up, and it's delicious. Pie shells are out and done. There we go. That one's got some color on it now. And that's what you want. Just a little bit of brown on both sides of the pork chop. And I'm going to be cooking about, I think I've already mentioned this, about 10 of them. There's 4, it's going to be 4 of us. Usually there's 5. But when we went to purchase the pork chops, we were going to get 8. We ended up getting 10. So, because that's how the packs were wrapped up. So I'm going to continue to brown these, and I will show you guys what it looks like when I get it in the pan. Now that I have my pork chops all good and kind of light brown on both sides, I went ahead and I loaded those into my 9x13 as you've seen in the video. Now what I'm going to use, I don't see too many YouTubers that actually use this when they cook, but it is the golden mushroom soup by Campbell's. Now my mother has used this with this pork chop recipe forever, as long as I can remember, and it makes it delicious. Because I'm doing so many pork chops, and I also want to use this for a gravy with mashed potatoes, I am going to use 2 cans. But depending on how many pork chops you use is going to depend, you know, on how many cans of this you're going to need. So I just put it over the top, just like this, and it'll melt into the pork chops. We're also going to add just a little bit of water, not much, because the drippings from the pork chop is actually going to, you know, kind of make a gravy naturally with this soup. This is my second can. What's great about this is you can go ahead and do this part, and then when your pork chops cool down enough, you can actually just put this in the refrigerator covered with foil, and then whenever dinner comes, you can just take it straight out of the refrigerator, pop it into your oven, about 400 degrees, I would say, for about 35-40 minutes. until everything is completely done. Cover this with foil and we'll pop it in the oven and it'll be good and yummy, and I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Okay guys, I am getting ready to finish off my dessert. I've got some water in here and I'm bringing it up to a boil. I have a recipe on that shows how I make my strawberry pies, but I've got my strawberries cut up, I've got my jello, my cornstarch, my sugar. This is a very simple recipe. Go over and check out that video for that recipe. I will link it down below for you guys that want to check it out. Probably the most work is making sure your pies are baked. That is like the easiest thing ever. So I'm going to get started and get these whipped up and get these in the fridge. That I'm cooking. Lucas, because this is Father's Day dinner, Lucas peeled and cubed the potatoes, and we kind of did too many because I've got an extra pot back there, but we can actually have some mashed potato cakes tomorrow or another day this weekend, so that's good. So this is getting ready to boil. Hopefully it doesn't boil over on me, because you know that'd be real video there for me. And I've got some lima beans here. These are just frozen lima beans. I put a little bit of water in there with them, and then I bring them up to a boil. I let them cook about 1 or 2 minutes, and I turn the heat down on low and put a lid on that. And then those will be cooked up by the time all of dinner is ready to serve. So yeah, of course my pork chops are in the oven. And I put a little bit of salt in the water with my potatoes. And I think everybody has their way of making mashed potatoes. Some people use cream, some people use evaporated milk, butter, milk, some people use chicken broth. My personal preference is evaporated milk and real butter, salt and pepper. That is my way of fixing mashed potatoes, but mashed potatoes is really kind of like however you want to fix them. But that's the way my grandmother always did, and that's the way I'll always do, because mashed potatoes, that is her thing. That was the thing that when I grew up, that's what I wanted. Every time I went to her house was her mashed potatoes. Okay, dinner is ready. We've got my pork chops with my mushroom gravy and lima beans and mashed potatoes and Hawaiian rolls. We're all ready to eat.